And I want to ask you about your father on Monday at the press club. This is what he had to say about Saddam Hussein. He seemed to be taking a step back from prior connections that he had made before the war, during the war, and after the war about the connection that he alleged between Saddam Hussein and 9/11. Let's watch.
We know for a fact that Saddam Hussein was a sponsor, a state sponsor of terror. It's not my judgment. That was the judgment of our State Department. We know that, for example, he was making $25,000 payments to the families of suicide bombers who would blow themselves up and kill as many Israelis as they could with them. We know that there were other terrorists like Abu Nidal who had found sanctuary and safe harbor in Iraq over the years. So the notion that, say, not a collaborative relationship, I do not believe, and I've never seen any evidence to confirm that he was involved in 9/11.
Has he rethought that? Was he rephrasing it?
No. I mean, this is something he's actually said for many years. There was a report in the aftermath of 9/11 that came from the CIA that Mohammed Atta had met in Prague.
It was really discredited.
Well, no, but if you go exactly,
even to outsiders.
But
like
let me finish though, Andrea, because it's important. So there was a report, and when the report was outstanding, you had a number of people in the administration publicly talking about the fact that there could have been a connection in terms of the Mohammed Atta meeting. Once it became clear that the report didn't hold up, he and others in the administration were out publicly saying that. And there's been a real attempt, in my view, to blur the distinction. He has not said that there is a connection between Saddam Hussein and 9/11. The issue is whether there's a connection between Saddam Hussein and al-Qaeda, which, as he mentioned in that speech, George Tenet himself testified to. There's much evidence of the connection between Saddam and al-Qaeda, and Saddam and other terrorist organizations.
Well, al-Qaeda in Iraq, which was an offshoot but didn't exist before the start of the war.
No, that's actually not true. You had, Abu Musab al-Zarqawi in Iraq before the start of the war. And you had, George Tenet testified about a relationship going back over 10 years. And George Tenet has not recounted that testimony of the 10-year relationship between Saddam and al-Qaeda. But the issue of a relationship between Saddam and 9/11, it's a claim that critics of the administration have used to sort of smear the administration, when in fact the administration wasn't making that claim.
Well, I'm going to go back. I'll do my homework, invite you back so we can talk about this more, because I think that there were, if not explicit, implicit connections suggested at various points along the way.
Well, that's actually not fair, Andrea, because I think that, after 9/11, the issue of Saddam, became a critically important issue for our national security because of his connections to terrorists and because we believed he had stockpiles of WMD. We knew, and he did continue to have, the technology that he could share with the terrorists. That's a very different thing than saying he was connected to 9/11.